A ballot 5, so sorry about that. Mr Speaker, talking to the Ethical Investment Bill, Mr Grant Robinson, he's written up quite well, future leader. He's a nice man and he may well win an election one day, sometime in the future, but he's let himself down here, Mr Speaker. And picking up from the previous speaker's points, maybe this is a distance in between Dr Cullen and this opposition now, or the super fund that the previous government set up and the directives and responsible and ethical investment issues that they may put it in place, because it's a bit of an insult to those institutions who are already practising, have written and adhered to all sorts of various directions and ethical and responsible investment policies. In fact, the New Zealand Super Fund are very proud of their ongoing work and how they measure and make sure their investments are looked after. Well, Labour, National, whoever, the point being is the legislation necessary to replicate something that's already done by, and in the explanatory note, it lists the government's 5 major financial institutions. It's about $45–50 billion in there, and actually they already have them. And I'll just note a ministerial direction from the Honourable Dr Cullen to the Earthquake and War Commission. Part of this, it is online, I wouldn't try and table that, Mr Speaker, but picking up on reputation, etc., as the previous member was speaking, Part 4, the Commission must avoid prejudice to New Zealand's reputation as a responsible member of the world community, best portfolio management, all the financial things, but then it talks about further, 7/4, talks about they must have ethical investment for avoiding prejudice to New Zealand's reputation as a responsible member of the world community. So is it working now or is it not? And if you want to talk about, other members want to talk about, the bill's been in the books for a while, well, it implies failure of organisations already. Let me talk to ACC's page 57 of their sheet here, a whole series on ethical investment. Ethical investment talking about activities repugnant to the laws of New Zealand. Talks about guiding principles of the how to. I'm not criticising the fact that it's already there. I'm pointing out that it is there, so therefore the need for this bill is actually redundant, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, I just look at some of that New Zealand Super Fund has responsible investment allocation Australasia, they're a founding member, United Nations Principle of Responsible Investments, UN Global Carbon Global Impact, you name it, Carbon Disclosure Project, page 1. Here's a section on responsible investment from the group that are looking after $16 billion of our forward super, responsible investment. Goes on to define it. Further pages in here, Mr Speaker, talk about their responsible investment policy to insist in meeting their obligations. Their responsible policies, responsible investment. Here's a diagram of how they must engage with those they invest in and with to make sure they adhere to responsible and ethical investment. And lo and behold, Mr Speaker, here is the New Zealand Superannuations Fund responsible investment practice. So we've got about 15 pages here, Mr Speaker, which is actually 15 pages of responsible investment right here, which is actually bigger than this entire bill of about 4 or 5 pages, Mr Speaker. So it's a bit of a typical lefty bill. It sounds good, it sounds nice, get a bit of PR coverage, sure, but actually in a practical sense, it's already been done. Some of it is work in progress, but those large 5 financial institutions of which look after Crown financial assets are adhering to responsible, ethical progress and management, Mr Speaker.
1 minute.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. So if it's already working, Mr Speaker, why would a member want to have his first bill pull out of the ballot in his name to replicate what's already been done? Perhaps it's all about job creation in the public service, but if you're to do this and to follow this through, then you'd have to lay off people in these other 4 or 5 institutions to follow through on the ethical progress. So if you'd like, the member would like to close the loop for us, because as I said, quite typical, sounds nice, very cushy and fuzzy and comfort, but actually at the end of the day this would cost New Zealanders, New Zealand taxpayers, and so their net worth in these institutions, because the cost would go slightly up because they've got to take out something that much of this government, the previous government, already put in there to replace this bill here. So nice try, Mr Robinson, but actually could do better next time. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
just before I call the next speaker, when we're in a reading and on a members' day in the 5-minute speeches, the bell goes at 4 minutes with a minute to go. All right. So just to call Dr. Russell, Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.